At the Academy Awards this year, there are no women nominated for Best Director, and the only film up for Best Picture is called Women Talking. I'd rather watch a movie called Men Staring Silently. There are other films from 2022 directed by women that I could talk about. Veteran directors Joanna Hogg and Claire Denis released films. Claire Denis released 2 movies in 2022. However, I'm going to be talking about an offensive grindhouse horror, revenge-sploitation, psychological fantasy, nightmare fairy tale. A movie you would never see at the Oscars. And it's directed by a woman. Piggy, or Cerdita in its native tongue, brings to mind Julia Ducournau's Raw, a film which used horror as a coming-of-age metaphor. Cerdita is based on a short film from its director Carlota Pereda. It belongs to the exploitation genre due to its over-the-top violence. Cerdita is a film which is hard to watch at times. There's a level of cruelty on display that will not sit right with all audiences. For example, there's a scene where a group of men chase an overweight girl in her underwear down the street in their car, hurling insults at her as her bra is falling off. Her cries sound animalistic. Cerdita begins with the relentless torture of its protagonist, though ultimately the abuse and violence in the film is not purely for the sake of shock. The film uses horror as a metaphor for a young girl's burgeoning sexuality. The protagonist Sarah is isolated and introverted. She barely speaks during the first act of the film. Her headphones disconnect her from the outside world. Sarah is the daughter of a butcher. The other girls have given her the nickname of Piggy, and not only do they harass her in an over-the-top fashion, they also try to drown her in the pool one day. They keep calling it a pool, but as an American, this is not what I think of when I think of a pool. The group of bullies post a picture of Sarah and her parents to social media, dubbing them the 3 little pigs. Sarah doesn't want to turn into her mother, which is displayed using shots where the mother is seen in mirror reflections. When Sarah tells her mother that she's being bullied, her mother tells her to go on a diet. A mysterious big bad wolf appears in the water. He has murdered the lifeguard. This character is a manifestation of Sarah's fantasy of revenge. Animalistic pure id, destroying without reason. He is known in the credits as El Desconocido, or The Unknown. Sarah's father is overweight and too weak to stand up to Sarah's overbearing mother, but this unknown killer is powerful and intimidating. He's something of a backwoods Giga Chad. He kidnaps the popular girls, which Sarah is a witness to, though the two come to a loose understanding when he gives her a towel after the bullies have stolen hers. Sexual tension builds in the relationship between Sarah and the killer. She continues to lie to protect him, which begins to tear the people in the town apart emotionally as the search for the missing girls continues. Eventually, the killer comes for Sarah's own family, a metaphor for her desire to escape the restraints of her mundane life. There's a subplot about an escaped bull that the authorities are looking for, which mirrors the story of the mysterious killer. Sarah encounters the bull before meeting the unknown man in the woods as fireworks blanket the sky. It's framed as a dark romance. There are numerous instances of sexual imagery throughout the film. When the unknown man attacks Sarah's father, they look as if they could be in a lover's embrace. Sarah sneaks in while her father is cleaning his gun, and it appears as though he's masturbating. At one point, Sarah masturbates under the sheets watching porn on her phone. The sounds could be mistaken for people being tortured. She fantasizes about the unknown man, light pulsating across her face. One of the local boys, Pedro, introduces Sarah to pot, and later, they ride a motorcycle into the horizon as the film ends. During the brutal final act, Sarah is forced to overcome her fears by killing the unknown man and cries out over his corpse. She debates whether or not to kill the bullies who are hung from chains like animals. It was set up earlier that Sarah knows how to use a gun because she goes hunting with her father. This final act contains a lot of blood and a lot of screaming. Everyone is crying out like wounded animals, not recommended for the faint of heart. Sarah is bribed by the killer with junk food, while her mother is trying to force her on a diet. This unknown man is a physical representation of Sarah's psychological state, a kind of hormone-driven phantom killer. She laments his death because a part of herself has died, but it allows her to find mercy for the bullies who victimized her. Sarah finds her own agency and rides off into the sunset with a hot guy on a motorcycle. A happy ending. Sort of. Cerdita doesn't rely on jump scares or sudden musical stings to startle you. The musical score is minimal and atmospheric, giving a surreal and dreamlike quality to this gritty tale of sexuality awakened amidst extreme violence. Cerdita is shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, giving a sense of restriction to the frame. This choice makes sense given that the film is about people being trapped either literally or metaphorically. I'll give Cerdita an 8 out of 10. A disturbing movie where a girl gets her hand blown off by a rifle and somehow the ending still seems optimistic.